Today we fight the Battle of Utica using DBA. The Battle of Utica was fought in 240 BC, the first major engagement in the mercenary or truceless war. In 241 BC, the First Punic War had ended after 23 years with the Treaty of Lutatius. Carthage was broke and had a large army to pay. Mismanagement and rabble-rousing had catapulted the issue into an existential threat to the city-state. Carthage is soon at war with its own army, and this army is joined by disgruntled Libyan subjects hard-pressed by taxation. Scraping whatever forces it can together, Carthage sends Hanno, known as the Great, to relieve Utica, which is now under siege. Hanno scatters the rebel army, and the soldiers quickly turn to looting the rebel camp, but the rebels rally and return to drive Hanno off in turn. A quick disclaimer before we begin. We have very little information for this battle, so the battlefield, the armies involved, everything is speculative. But it should allow you to take part in a piece of history which is often ignored. Our scenario begins after the rebels have rallied and return to assault the celebrating forces of Hanno. The battlefield for this scenario is simple. Two difficult hills are placed touching the board edge of the rebels, roughly centrally in each quarter of the table, and then two cities are placed directly opposite, touching the loyalist board edge, one of which is here represented by the rebel camp getting looted. The loyalist army has a large number of mounted troops, with elephants and cavalry, and even has a catapult, assumed to have been stolen from the rebels when they first drove them off. The rebel army, on the other hand, has no mounted units, but does have more heavy infantry, and importantly, a much stronger starting position. The loyalist general must deploy at the start of the scenario in one of the cities. One infantry unit in the defenders' army must deploy in the other city. Also, all remaining defenders must deploy facing their own board edge, the wrong way. The rebels get to deploy second, and have attempted to set up the best possible matchups between their different troop types and the enemy. The defenders do get to go first, but it starts off poorly. Because their general is in the city, all units are considered out of command range, and this means it takes 2 pips to move any one element, or 3 to move an elephant or artillery. On the other hand, the rebels' first turn goes extremely well, and they use barely any of their pips, having already deployed to their advantage. The defenders are now faced with a tough choice. Do they move their elephants and artillery away, abandoning their infantry who can't join them because of the spearmen who turned round? Instead, they decide to turn their artillery to face the enemy. It can't shoot now, but it puts time pressure on the rebels. The rebels in their turn push their skirmishers to the fore to confront the elephants, confident that the enemy cavalry don't have the space or option to intercept them. With the enemy breathing down their neck, there's nothing the defenders can do but fire at one final futile volley from the bolt thrower before the attackers close for the kill. The combats go poorly for the loyalists. The defenders do win a couple of combats, but critically the rebel general easily cuts down the artillery crew, and despite the numbers being in favour of the elephants, one of the units is cut down in short order. Already halfway to their breaking point, things are bleak for the defenders. However, now the first combat has been fought, the defenders are allowed to rally out of the cities. This is critical because it allows the general to get back into command range. But is it too little, too late? With a desperate flurry of orders, the general orders some of the cavalry to form up with the reinforcements. However, most can't fall back to this second line, and the defenders lose yet another elephant unit. The rebels waste no time and make the most of their impetus. The general slams into the flank of the loyalist spearmen, while the rest of the line engages head on. Once again, some of the defenders fight admirably. The rebel Spanish mercenaries are even driven from the battle. The rebel general continues his bloody work, however, slays the loyalist spearmen. With their deaths, the morale of the defenders is broken. Hanno's army is defeated. Despite being a short and one-sided battle, the scenario could have gone very differently. What would happen if the defenders had pulled back with the elephants? Perhaps you think you can do better. A link to the full rules of the scenario should be in the video description below. Thank you for watching my first video. I plan to make more, so feedback is appreciated. See you in the next one.